We recently came back from a family city break to Copenhagen, and I'll be honest, we made some mistakes. Some of them cost us money, others gave us a little bit more stress, so I wanted to create this video to share some of the common mistakes that families make when visiting Copenhagen. So if you're planning a trip to Copenhagen, this video will make sure you don't make the same mistakes that we did. Mistake number 1 is trying to learn Danish. Now it might sound silly, but like many others, I worry about the language gap. I often try to learn a few basic phrases just to try and be polite. We even got our son saying hi, which is hello, and tak, which means thank you. It's not something you need to worry about though. Danes are very fluent in English and everyone I came across spoke it incredibly well. Mistake number 2 is not booking restaurants ahead of time. Now this is a mistake that we definitely made. I was a bit naive and thought since it was out of season, I won't need to book restaurants. It wouldn't be that busy, right? Wrong. Copenhagen is a food city with some incredible places to eat, and with so many family-friendly restaurants, they get booked up quickly. On our first night, we ended up just having takeaway pizza in our hotel room. Now don't get me wrong, it tasted amazing, but I'd definitely have preferred to be sat down in a restaurant eating it. Mistake number 3 is taking taxis everywhere and not using public transport. Now taxis in Copenhagen are clean, reliable, and expensive, and I mean really expensive. And this is another mistake that we actually made, kind of. We got a taxi pickup from the airport to the hotel, but this was actually paid for by booking.com, but we decided to book a taxi back to the airport, which cost us around about £40 I believe. To be fair, it'd been snowing and the path was full of sludge, so definitely not ideal to be pulling cases around to the metro. We did get a bus a couple of times during our stay and it was really good. If you need to get anywhere, save the money and get a bus or a metro. You can get to and from the airport to the centre of Copenhagen for a lot less than a taxi. Mistake number 4 is taking too much cash. Now, I'm one of those people that does believe cash is king and I prefer to have as much as possible. But in Copenhagen, you really don't need much. It's one of the most cashless cities in Europe. You'll find cards are accepted in most places. Having said that, I would definitely recommend taking a little just for peace of mind. Mistake number 5 is worrying about tipping. Now, ever since going to America, I get paranoid about tipping whenever I go to other countries. Not only do you have the stress of wondering if it's expected, you also have to try and work out how much it should be, and I'll be honest, with my math skills, that is hard work. Luckily in Copenhagen, tipping is not expected. Mistake number 6 is buying the Copenhagen card. Now when I say that, I don't mean you should point blank not get it. The Copenhagen card is great as it does give you entry to loads of attractions and unlimited public transport. We never got one as we just didn't plan on visiting lots of attractions in such a short period of time, so it wouldn't have saved us much if any money. Since we only planned to go to Tivoli and Experitorium, it was cheaper for us not to. There is a calculator on the Copenhagen card website and that will help you work out if it's worth it or not. Mistake number 7 is expecting Copenhagen to be a budget trip, and I'll be honest, it is expensive. Now I knew it was going to be expensive before we came. Plenty of people told us. I just didn't realize how expensive it was until we actually got there, and I nearly fell off my chair when I found out how much a couple of coffees were. Food, accommodation, and entry to attractions, it all adds up faster than you expect. Here's the thing though, I still think Copenhagen is worth it. Just remember to try and budget properly. Research the cost of meals, even plan some restaurants and check out the menu online so you know roughly how much you'll need each day. If you want a full breakdown of exactly what we spent, accommodation, food, attractions, everything down to the last pound, check out this video in the top corner. Mistake number 8 is not understanding the bike etiquette. Copenhagen is a cycling city. There are bikes everywhere. Luckily, it's not like the UK where cyclists get in the way of cars. In Copenhagen, they have dedicated bike lanes. We saw so many people standing in these lanes and getting in the way. They soon move when they hear the polite but firm bell from the bike. Mistake number 9 is over planning every day. Now this is something that we don't usually do, but I do see it quite a lot from other travelers. Copenhagen is so family friendly and there is so much to see and do. The problem is if you plan too much, you won't appreciate what you're seeing. You'll be rushing off to the next stop. Plan the attractions and leave space for unplanned moments. These are often the most memorable. Mistake number 10 is visiting attractions at the worst times. Tivoli and Nijhaven are well worth seeing, but you want to time it right. Mid-morning or early afternoon, and these places are going to be full of people. When we went to Tivoli, we got there just after it opened and it was a lot less stressful. Mistake number 11 is not dressing for the weather. Now, we went to Copenhagen in winter, so it was cold, but I did not appreciate just just how cold it was. I was covered in layers, but just not enough. I've been told by others that even in summer, Copenhagen's weather can be unpredictable, so just make sure you pack for all seasons and you should be fine. Like I said, we definitely made a few of these mistakes, nothing drastic, and it didn't ruin the trip, but knowing these mistakes families make in Copenhagen is a great way to avoid them and avoid unneeded stress. Would we go back? 100%. Copenhagen is a great city for families. If you're looking for things to do with kids in Copenhagen, then check out this video I recently published. You can also check out my entire playlist on Copenhagen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.